Hustle.
Our next guest is the 2009 NPC Nationals middleweight champion, the new Ifbb pro, Nathan Detracy. Welcome to the show.
How you doing?
Well, we haven't really talked since your Nationals win, and you've kind of been missing in action. It's been about 2.5 years now, and I wasn't sure you were ever going to get up on a bodybuilding stage, and here I run into you at the Emerald Cup this year, and you're getting ready for New York Pro. Talk to me a little bit about what you've been doing the last couple of years.
Well, I kind of hit out a little bit. I went through some personal things, and then kind of took a little bit different direction in my life. I owned a gym, Evolution, and had been doing that for 6 years. And to be honest, it was my dream growing up and something that I really wanted to do, but it was taking so much time and so much money to keep it going. It turned out to be all about how much money I could make and less about how many people I could help. And so
people don't realize that. People don't realize that a gym business is a very, very difficult, time-consuming, emotionally draining business, especially if you're trying to do something on the side like bodybuilding.
Yeah. And I'm friends with some guys that own some big-time gyms, and they're just very cutthroat people, and they're very good business people. And to be honest, like, I went into it kind of blind and young, and I didn't really know a lot about the business. And so, I knew it from the bodybuilding standpoint and thought I could just bring that into the society and do some good. But it's about running a business. And so, I kind of found that out, and unfortunately had some business partners that kind of brought me down, and so luckily I had actually brought in Advocare. It's a supplement line, and there started slowly building that into my integrating into nutritional programs that I was doing, and that really took off, and it's the type of business that you build other people underneath you so that they're helping other people and making money as well. And so what I did is I started creating nutritional programs to go along with the supplements, and from there it just took off, and it exploded and allowed me actually to walk away from the gym business, and so now I'm doing that full time, and it's been awesome.
Well, we'll get back to that in a second. I just want to give you a little context history on you. A lot of people don't realize you're one of the 30 NPC Emerald Cup overall champions. In 2007, you won that light heavyweight in the overall there. 2008, you won the middleweight class at the USA Championships, and then obviously the following year, that's when we were working together for the USA and the Nationals. You won the middleweight class and got that pro card. Obviously, back then you only weighed 176 pounds on stage, and the New York Pro, obviously, the weight class is 212. So obviously, I'm sure you needed a couple years to put on some size. Getting back to the gym business, a lot of us get into the whole realm of personal training and being in the gym business because we really love training, and we want to kind of pass that passion on to people. And obviously, if you can get paid while you're doing it, that's great as well. But I think you made a smart transition because now you're doing what you really like, which is educating people, which is explaining to them how to train properly, diet properly, take the right supplements, and you're really not tied down to that albatross around your neck, so to speak, that we all know very well. Do you feel like you've had a burden lifted off you?
Oh, for sure. It in that sense, it's made my life so much better. I mean, like I said, I've gone through some things that I needed to change in my life and just kind of become a better person. But as far as that, it's when you don't have that, I gotta make $30,000 up front here to pay for my rent, and then I can think about the rest of the people. That's how it turned out to be. It was like, what can I come up with that can make more money? And it was just time for dollars. And so now with this business, it's more of a residual income where if I want to step away for 2 weeks, I'm still making the same amount of money. And if I decide I want to continue to make more, then I can put more time in. So do you feel that you're so successful at Advocare because of the fact that you are so passionate about what you do and knowledgeable in that sense? Passion, yeah, that, but in a sense, I think it hurts me. I think I really, to be honest, I deal with with the average people now. I still do I have a lot of people that come to me for nutritional programs and for bodybuilding and physique and bikini and all that, but I really don't work with them unless they want to take on Advocare and learn it as a business to help other people now. So I've kind of transitioned away from that. But, you know, the people that I work with are normal people. So for me, it's hard walking up to them. They don't want, I mean, in the bodybuilding world, I'm not a freak. I'm not that big. I'm 212 as an average guy. But in the normal world, that's still, it's intimidating to somebody that's heavy or, you know, so I really have to get down on a personal level. And I really had to learn. You know, as a bodybuilder, I used to go into the gym, have my headphones on, and I would lift weights, and I would stare at my hands or whatever in between. I wasn't there to make friends, where now I walk around, I do a set, and I look up at people and I talk to them. So it's helped me to grow as a person and to open up to society and smile. And at first, it's weird if I go into a different gym that I'm not used to. It kind of catches people off guard because they're not used to somebody actually being nice to them, you know, that maybe they're looking up to or they want to be like. So it creates a lot of relationships. For the Emerald Cup, I guess the coolest part about that was a week before I was up at a 24-hour fitness, and this kid just did that. I looked up to him and smiled at him, and I could tell, you know, something was up with him. He had a lot of scars and stuff, and so he came up and we started talking a little bit, and found out he, first of all, has a huge passion for knowing everything about nutrition. But I got to talking to him, and 4 years ago, he got this type of cancer, and they gave him a 10% chance to live. And they say if he makes it to 5 years of remission, then he's in the clear. But I got to bring him backstage and meet Branch, and you know, meet all the guys and show him what bodybuilding was like, and that's his dream. And to me, that now I'm using bodybuilding for that type of thing, which means a lot more for me than to get on stage and do well.
You probably understand now what I used to tell you all the time is I always enjoy training and getting the guys who are like the real amateurs, the newbies, the people who want to just do body transformation. I always get more pleasure out of that because they're so grateful to you for what they're doing, and you can tell that you've made such a change in their life afterwards. There's some kind of like redeeming quality to what you're doing, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you think that bodybuilders are too introverted into themselves, and do you think that's a negative aspect of our sport, that maybe people think that we're like these mean people into ourselves?
Yeah, I don't know. The older I get, the more I'm opening up myself, and I was always just a shy guy. I never had a thought of being, you know, I'm the best or anything. Like, I was always surprised when I won and that type of thing. So I don't know how other people thought of me, but I definitely think that about some of the other guys. And you know, the older I get, the more I'm trying to make, like Dave Patterson, he's kind of just like he does all the routines for a lot of the guys and the girls, and he's been around the industry for a long time. Not a big name outside of this area, but helps out a lot of people. I've been in the industry for 10 years and never even talked to him, and just kind of always give him the nod as I go by and never say a word. But he helped me with my music, and I just kind of went out of my way because now I'm trying to meet more people and just, you know, kind of get tied in a little bit more. And so, I don't know, it's hard to tell. I mean, you're always going to have some of those guys that just think they're the shit, and then you're going to have other guys that probably are just quiet, and they used to be small guys, and they're not used to being in the spotlight. So it probably goes back and forth.
You think it's an insecurity issue with some guys, that they just think that they're not comfortable?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's talk about competition for a second. When you won the USA, and then when you won the Nationals, you were probably the most dominant middleweight, I would say, on the amateur ranks. You know, everyone was fearing you, and had that ridiculous conditioning. You know, people just, you know, it was kind of like game over. You won unanimously both shows. Do you intend to bring that into the New York Pro show on May 19th, that same level of conditioning? And what do you think you'll weigh on the stage coming up from the middleweight 176 mark?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I have to say this weekend has helped me get my mind back on track because I didn't use you for this show, and so I didn't really know what to expect. The kind of diet I'm doing is a lot more carbs, and it's really, I talked to you a little bit about it, it's really up and down with your emotions and with your blood sugar level and that kind of thing. And so you go from feeling really good to really shitty, and it's just not consistent like when I was doing it with you. So so I haven't known what to expect, and so I don't know. For with you, it seemed like it was balls out. I knew I was going to do as much cardio as it was going to take to get there, and on this one, it seems like you're trying to allow the carb fluctuations to kind of do a little bit more of the weight loss. But seeing you and stage and seeing pictures of myself, because you always see yourself and how much I've lost 30 pounds so far, and so I felt like I was on my way, but then I saw myself up on stage in pictures. I'm like, I got a long ways to go. So I've been hitting it really hard since. And so I still feel like I have enough time. That's my goal. To be honest, I've done what I could do in the off season, so now I feel like I like this part. It's a sprint to the finish line, and it's whoever can work the hardest and not consistently give in and just keep working as hard as you can. So I plan on being the leanest guy on stage. Yeah,
you like to suffer at the end. I have to give it to you, because some people just can't handle that pain, and you seem to thrive on it. So I wouldn't count you out. Now you got to go up against the likes of like the Jose Raymonds, and luckily I think Kevin English is doing the Open, but you never know with him. How do you think you'll stack up against him? Is it intimidating for you to go up against these guys, or do you feel like, man, I'm finally going to get compared to some of these top pros? This is something I've been looking forward to.
To be honest, I don't ever look at the magazines. Occasionally somebody will throw a picture up on Facebook, and I'll look, and then I start comparing, but I try to stay out of that. I think I actually told you this the day after the show when you interviewed me, is I've always looked at Flex Lewis's as physique is kind of what I wanted to go after. I think we're kind of similar. I think obviously now he's a little bit bigger than me, but he's obviously not competing. But I have a picture of him up on a wall, and as I cut down, I compare myself to that, but that's about it.
Yeah, I would say you probably have more of a Jose Raymond upper body, I would think, because you guys are. I think you're taller than he is, though. I don't think.
Yeah, he's pretty. He's kind of stubborn. Like he has thick legs and a thick back. So I don't know. I don't know how. To be honest, I have no idea how I'm going to stack up with these guys. I don't like my physique in the off season. I mean, I'm a typical white guy where until you're getting really lean, you don't look really good. So, I think like Branch Warren up on stage was a good. He just competed 10 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. It's amazing, but kind of looks.
Yeah.
You take a black guy and he goes up there for the most part. It doesn't matter what conditioning they're in, So
it's the structure too. I mean, you actually remind me of a smaller Branch Warren. You kind of have that like thick, stocky look, but when you get really, really grainy hard, you look, very impressive. And I think
so it's hard to tell in the off season, where I'm going to be. I have no idea. Like I said, I'm just going to come in as lean as possible and see where I stand. It's when I was doing the guest posing, for me it's embarrassing because when you're up on a national stage or you're doing a show, when you turn around, like people are going to be like, "Ooh, that looks awesome," and I'm not there yet. So so it's like I don't even want to turn around and do certain poses, but. That's how it is.
I always tell people it's good to go up and guest pose prior to competing because it gives you some stage experience and some stage savvy, if you may, and that always helps as well. You can kind of critique yourself and say, "Oh, this is what I should have done here, or I should have turned here, or I should have pulled it in here," and I think it's good for constructive purposes. Talk to me a little bit once again about. Let's go back to your business for a minute because you are making a lot of money from Advocare now. I mean, you've been doing it for a number of years. What would you do if a company approached you and said, "Hey, I want to give you a big contract to endorse my products"? Would you turn them down because of that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I have control of this situation. That's the biggest thing, and that's eventually how I would like to get into the bodybuilding industry is show them that they can create a security because you're with any company and there's a whole array of different things that I can talk about. But one thing is, you and me talked about that you stand behind is there's so many companies that have these blends. the products, and their companies, it costs a lot because the FDA doesn't really approve it. They approve the company itself, but they don't go back and check all the individual supplements, and you can run into issues where you have these distributors that are saying, okay, I want this product, and this product in there, and they're going to go out and get the cheapest thing. Well, that's not always the best thing, and it also depends on how they all synergistically work together, right?
Sure.
Like you were talking about how, stimulants are not the best thing for each situation, but they're a top seller.
Well, yeah, what people do? They put proprietary formula. They put nothing of the real ingredients in. They put tons of stimulants in to override that fact. So you think you're getting a lot of something in there, and then it cheapens down the product. Is Advocare a very reputable product line?
Yeah, they use a company called Informed Choice that they send out to that tests all their products, and so we're actually one of the only companies that the full line is allowed through the Olympic Standards Committee. We can be in all the NFL locker rooms, all the pro locker rooms. So it's opened it up to be a very safe product that I can feel comfortable no matter what pushing to anybody for any situation. And then we have 9 doctors. Very renowned doctors in their own medical industries that come together that don't just work for Advocare, that build the products. And so, like, for instance, Stanley Diedrich he was part of the invention of intravenous feeding. So he broke down the amino acids that they use in the hospitals to do in drip bags. Mm-hmm. And so he creates our amino acids. So our amino acids are the same type of grade as they use in hospitals. And so you're just dealing with it's more expensive to start out with, but we can show you how to do a wholesale account and get a discount that way, and then also build a business where it can either pay for your supplements or you can start helping out other people. And so from the bodybuilding world, what I would like to do is teach people how to build businesses, because you have all these people that are following around these pros and doing booths and all that type of thing, but really they don't get paid anything. They have no security.
Sure. You're right.
Right. And this teaches them how to build a residual income. And this company has been around for 20 years, and it's not going anywhere.
How do people get in touch with you if they want to get involved in the business aspect of it?
They can go to Nathan at advocarebydesign.com.
Okay. Do you have a Facebook page as well?
Yeah, just Nathan Detracy.
Okay, there you go. If anyone's interested in learning the business, I'm sure Nathan will be happy to teach you. Talk to me a little bit about, I want to get into relationships, because I always discuss this with bodybuilders. I've had fallen relationships because of this. You were married, last time I talked to you, your relationship broke down at some point. What happened? Was it bodybuilding related? Was it just life happening, or what happened with that whole thing?
First of all, I don't want to talk a lot about it because I respect her a lot, and it really had nothing to do with I guess in the bodybuilding industry, as you go through all this changes in hormones and stuff, like, you definitely are going to feel different ways. And but for me, a lot of it was I felt like I had some issues. My parents died. There was just things that I saw. I guess for me, I felt like I was failing in life because my business wasn't doing good, and we worked together. And she quit her job, came on, helped me with the gym, and we were just around each other all the time. And I guess weren't filling each other's needs, and we're blaming each other for everything that was going wrong.
Wow.
And so it was a tough thing. It's something that. We're not best friends now, but we still talk, and I care a lot about what happens to her and who she is. And I've been very fortunate. I have a really good, supportive girlfriend now, and she's the one that introduced me into Advocare. So we work together, so that works well. But
here's a good. I want your input on this, because I know my answer on the whole thing. Does financial burdens wreck relationships, or can they wreck relationships? Is money a really big issue in relationships? I'm into studies and I've read a lot about that kind of stuff, and also have even gone towards going to church and that kind of stuff. So, but
I think that's a huge part. I think also for a male that feels like he has to support his family, and then if you feel like you're not doing that, and then you're also into something like bodybuilding that sucks out so much money, and you're not getting a lot back from it. It's tough. Yeah, it can totally create that.
How does one go about, and I'm not saying you're an expert, I'm asking your opinion on this. How does one go about being a professional bodybuilder, balancing that with your personal life so that you can actually have a personal life, you can make a living, and you can be a bodybuilder? Is it compatible, in your opinion?
I think so. I think you definitely, if you're a good bodybuilder, there has to be definitely some stability there, because, and as a wife, I mean, to be supportive and allow all that attention. I mean, there's all different kinds of people. You know, me personally, I've always been kind of around a woman that's been very secure in herself. So I'm not used to it, that insecurity. But I've seen it a lot, and I've seen it in guys too that date professional women. They're getting a lot of attention, and I guess it also depends how professional you are with that attention.
So it's how you deal with, I guess, the fame is what you're saying.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we do see a lot of relationship breakdowns in this industry. We do see a lot of guys that have problems with paying the bills and not being able to, balance the burden of bodybuilding with actually, making a living and then actually having a family. I mean, to a certain degree.
Yeah. To be honest, you don't see a lot of boys that have good families. I can think of Mark Dugdale.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah, you're right. He's good.
Yeah. I can't think of a lot of them that I personally know that they have families. But yeah, I mean, that's a tough thing, because you have, I think for the most part, you have guys that really take bodybuilding serious, or guys usually that genetically weren't gifted, or they were insecure at some point, and so they use that and they funnel that energy, and then all of a sudden they're getting all this attention, right? And that's tough to deal with when maybe you growing up in high school, you weren't getting all the girls, and now everybody's looking at you in awe.
Yeah.
That's a tough thing.
That's right. Well, it's a tough thing to mentally deal with, because you don't. It's like you're almost like 12 years old again. 14 years old again, going through puberty. Bodybuilders. I'm going to make a controversial statement. I want you to tell me if you agree or disagree. Are most bodybuilders just lazy? Is that why they maybe don't make a living?
That's a loaded question, because if they're good bodybuilders, you can't say they're lazy, because look at how they torture themselves.
Right.
So I guess it's priorities. Like, is there a priority to be the best bodybuilder, money, or do they have the drive to find a way to utilize their skill to make money, right? So how do you answer that?
Or is the real issue here that the bodybuilders just don't get paid enough, and because we don't get paid enough, they have to not only be bodybuilders and have be focused on that, but they also have to have a profession to go along with that to pay the bills almost.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess, I mean, I don't know a lot about like UFC fighting and stuff, but I think it's probably similar to that, where before it became mainstream, and now all these guys are getting these huge contracts. You're beating yourself up and not being able to pay the bills.
Yeah, but
I'm sure it's very similar to that.
But because bodybuilders have to know that this is never going to be probably a mainstream sport where we're going to be paid millions and millions and millions, or even maybe one or two guys might make it. Don't you think you have to have a contingency plan, or you have to find a niche for yourself in this industry? I always tell people this: everyone can find their own niche. Obviously, you found it with Advocare. I found it with Species Nutrition and RX Muscle. But I mean, people have to find a niche for themselves, and if they don't, then they're almost doing a disservice to themselves, because at some point, even the ones that are making good money are not going to make money anymore.
Yeah, that's it. You have to have a game plan. You have to have you have to look down the road and say, okay, first of all, do you want to be a trainer forever? Because any bodybuilder can step in and train people, right? They train themselves. But do you want to sacrifice time for dollars for the rest of your life? Because you can get paid pretty good if you're working independently, but you're spending your whole day training other people and listening to all their laundry, right? Sure. Or are you going to come up with some kind of idea that is going to start sustaining what you're doing now, plus being able to add on and have some kind of lifestyle that you want later on when you can't step on stage?
Very valid point, and something that I think a lot of bodybuilders are going to have to contemplate at some point. And if anyone wants to contact you to get involved with Advocare, they have your contact information. I also want to make one more announcement that we filmed Nathan in the Iron Asylum at David Barton's gym that I've been raving about all show. And we'll get that up probably a little later this week, early next week, as soon as we get that interview done with you. And obviously, best of luck at the New York Pro. We're going to see you out there, and I think that people are going to be shocked when they see you on stage.
I hope so. Thanks, and I appreciate it. It's always fun to talk to you, and you've always been great to me. Appreciate that.
That was Nathan Detracy. A great guy, great competitor. Really turned his life around. He's making good money now. Congratulations to him. I always like to see bodybuilders do well and pursue their dreams. Hopefully he'll come in that top 3 spot at the New York Pro 212 class. It's going to be a tough competition, but he's got a lot of mass on him. I hope if he brings the conditioning that we've seen, he's going to do very well. And it was a great show. And once again, I want to thank Brad and Elaine Craig for a great weekend. I had a great time, and thank you for bringing me in. My booth was very successful. The RX Muscle coverage was great, and it was good seeing everyone on the great Northwest. And I know we have a lot of listeners, so thanks to everyone. I can't say everyone's name, but I had a great time hanging out with all you guys. Kyle, thanks for the sushi dinner. We had a great sushi lunch we had. We haven't done. We got to do that a little bit more often. And next week we'll be in Orlando with Aaron Jabaka-Singerman, covering Ed and Betty Pariso's Orlando Pro. And that's going to be exciting. We've got a lot of action down there. And then the following weekend, we will be in Pittsburgh at Jim Magnion's show. We'll get the week off. And then, Aaron's going to be the next week in Louisiana. And then the week after that, we will be at the New York Pro and the Junior USA. So we got a lot of action coming up in the coming weeks. Stay tuned for the best coverage on rxmuscle.com. For now, though, I'd like to thank Nathan Detracy for stopping by. Until next week, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio, the truth hurts.
Heavy Muscle Radio is a presentation of rxmuscle.com. The truth in bodybuilding. Tune in next week at the same time for another round with Dave Palumbo only on Heavy